Let's walk through the in-class exercise today. There's a lot going on in this exercise, particularly with making sure that we get the network adapter on the net burner configured properly, as well as the net burner adapter that's connected. I'm sorry, the networking adapter that's connected to your computer. So first part of the exercise, it says connect both the serial cable and the red crossover cable. I didn't actually have a red crossover cable. Let's see if I can hold this up here. If you see on mine, I'm actually using the blue, and and it works fine. So use the blue one if you don't have it. Um, and then the first thing we're going to do is actually configure the network adapter on your computer. Now I'm using one of the USB to um, uh, Ethernet adapters that I passed out to those of you in class who indicated that you didn't have an Ethernet uh, hardwired connector on your computer. So so plug the other end. So plug one end of the blue cable or red cable into the net burner board, into the Ethernet jack, and then the other one should be plugged into that USB dongle or directly into the Ethernet jack on your laptop or desktop if you have that available. And then plug that USB adapter into an available USB port. Okay. First thing we're going to do is actually configure the IP address on our USB adapter, and again that's going to be 192.168.17.1. So in the search bar, I'm using Windows, type control panel and start the control panel application. So it looks like this, and then you want to go to Network and Sharing Center, and then we want to change the adapter settings. Okay, so this is what you'll see then, this window. And I've got several different physical and virtual network connectors set up. You know, here's my other wired Ethernet connector that's into my actual local network at home. You know, if you may have a Wi-Fi adapter if you're using Wi-Fi. This is the one that I actually want to set up. It says USB to Ethernet adapter, so I'm going to right-click on it and bring up Properties. Okay, and then I see Properties on this, and then I want to select um, Internet Protocol version 4, TCP/IP version 4. Select that and then say Properties. And then, you know, again, if you get behind at any point, pause the video. Okay. And then I've already set this one up. When I first brought it up this morning, it had this setting, obtain an IP address automatically. We're going to assign an IP address statically. So use the following IP address, 192.168.17, and then by convention, you know, the network adapter on our computer is 1. If I hit tab, it automatically fills in an appropriate subnet NAS for me at 255.255.255.0. Double check the IP address, 192.168.17.1. If that's wrong or is not on the same, doesn't have the same network portion as our net burner board, we won't be able to communicate between these two devices. Okay, so click OK at this point and close, and then actually you can close out the control panel windows at this point. We've got the IP address adapter set up on the USB adapter that's on our computer. The other thing we have to do is set up the IP address on the NetBurner board itself. So you can bring up MTTY, you know, either from the startup menu. Actually, I've got MB Eclipse already running, so I'm going to go to the MB Eclipse menu and bring up MTTY that way. I'm going to bring the window over. It's already set up for COM4. I'm going to connect. There's a program running there. It should be, let me reset the board. And hit A. Wasn't fast enough. Okay, and then now if I type setup, I think if you type help, you see the different commands that are available. But if I type setup, it will display um, the IP information on the net burner board, and then you see it's already set up. I've already set this up with a proper IP address. If yours is not, if yours does not say 192.168.17.2, then press type 1. Okay, we want to change the IP address. So 1, enter, and then enter in the new IP address, 192.168.17.2. Okay, and then again, the IP mask or network mask is set appropriately. If you need to change that, type 2 and enter in 255.255. 255.255.255.0 to set that correctly. We don't need to set up the IP gateway or any of the other information correctly. Okay, so just S at this point and return to save, and then the thing will reboot. Okay, so now we've got our NetBurner board and our computer set up with this little network between them with two devices on this network, our USB Ethernet adapter, and then our NetBurner board, okay, or really our computer and our NetBurner board are set up to communicate properly. Okay, now you won't see, I've got a, you won't see this menu on your computer. This is the program that I have actually downloaded on the NetBurner board, so it'll run whatever previous program you had running on there. So let's go back to the next step in the assignment. So we've connected the board. So the next step, it says create a Hello World Net program and copy our main program from our Hello World project into the Hello World Net. So the Hello World project was one we created several weeks ago when we first started working with the NetBurner board. Again, I think I had that C source code up on the course website. I'm assuming you still have that Hello World project. We're going to copy that hello world.cpp file into our new Hello World Net project. So let me go through the steps there. So back in the NB Eclipse, file, new project, new NetBurner project, next, and then Hello World Net, okay, next, mod 5270, I'm still not, we're going to leave the IP address blank at this point, and then just finish. Okay, so I've created a project but with no source code in it. So if I right click on the project name over in the Project Explorer and then import, I'm going to copy Hello World over. Using this wizard, you could also do it using File Explorer, but import from the file system, and then I have to browse to the appropriate directory. For me, that's in my home directory, and then in my NB Eclipse, and then I'm going to go to the Hello World project that I had previously, select that folder and just say OK, and then it'll list all the files that are in that folder. I want to copy over the hello world.cpp file. Okay, now I see that it's actually in the project. I'm going to rename it. I like to have the main source code actually match the project name. If I don't want 10 different Hello World programs floating around in different directories, it gets confusing. So now I've got this. So this is our first program we ran that just prints Hello World out to after a delay out to the serial port. There's a 20 tick delay here. Now back in the window, it says we want to include these. I'll try to copy and paste these. Sometimes that doesn't work all that well, but let's see. Looks like it worked okay here. Control C to copy and Control V to paste, and then just saves me a little typing. And then here are the two lines. One is to initialize the Ethernet controller on the NetBurner board, and then initialize the IP software stack. And then the second part actually runs a particular server that allows us to update our programs over Ethernet. So Control C, Alt Tab, come back here. I'm going to put it right above the OS change priority. Okay. And I think the next thing was to actually build the application and download it using MTTY. It should start automatically. Okay, so project, build the project. Okay, built correctly. Let me bring back up MTTY. Again, I need to reset the board, and then type FLA, transferring the program at this point just like we've done in the past. Send file. I have to go to NB Eclipse, Hello World Net, release, app S19, open, and transfer the file over the serial link at this point. Okay, because once we have a program running on the board that is running this enable auto update, then we can download subsequent programs over our Ethernet link. But I'm assuming that you don't have a program running on there yet. So it looks the same. I think we get this IP information that's printed out when we initialize the IP stuff with that new function call that's in there, and then we see the rest of the program runs the same as it did before. We see the stuff printed out to the serial port just as we did before. Let me go back to the assignment. Okay, so we've downloaded the application over the serial link, and it's running. Once it's running, you should be able to verify that the network is enabled by pinging this particular address. So from a Windows command prompt, ping 192.168.17.2. That's our NetBurner board, and you'll see we get this information that it pings it 3 times. We get, or 4 times. We got 4 replies showing that we're able to communicate actually between our computer and our NetBurner board. So that's one good simple test. The other one is there's an IP setup tool that's provided with the NetBurner. It's one of the PC tools. It's also available in the NB Eclipse windows from the NB Eclipse menu here. So I can do IP setup. Okay, it actually opened the window on another monitor. There we go. Actually, mine, it found it automatically. It identified it here as this mod 5270 running with this particular IP address and network mask. So, it found it. That, again, another good clue that everything is connected properly and I'm communicating between the computer and the NetBurner board. Okay, so close that. What's the next step? Okay, so we're able to ping, we were able to use the IP setup. So we've got now a program running on our NetBurner board that has this enable auto update running on it. Okay, so that now allows us to transfer new programs over the Ethernet link. So instead of using MTTY, what we use is this auto update tool. Okay, so, and that is also available from NB Eclipse, from the NB Eclipse menu. Again, it should be available on your start menu under the NetBurner tools. So again, that also opened up on a separate window. So let me drag it over. Doesn't have the right IP address, but if I say find, okay, it finds I've just got one NetBurner board. So this, if you have multiple ones, it'll allow you to choose between them. And so say OK, so it fills in the IP address. Now I want to browse to our application that we downloaded over previously. So AR63, NB Eclipse, Hello World Net, release. Hello World Net app S19, open, and then update. And then it transferred that quickly, and I get this little message that says programming is complete without error. If I switch over quickly to the MTTY tool, I see it automatically started up again, started running. So much faster transfer over Ethernet than over the serial link. Again, if your application crashes on the NetBurner board, then your the enable auto update won't work over the Ethernet. You'll have to fall back to transferring over the serial link. So fix your program so it doesn't crash. Transfer it over the serial link, and then you should be able to transfer subsequent programs over using the auto update. I think from now on, all the programs that we write will have this call to enable auto update and initialize stack in the started user main, so that we can transfer now programs over the Ethernet link instead of over the serial link, and so it's much faster. So you know, if you don't, if any of these steps failed, you know, go back through the video, go through the step by step again. You know, if it doesn't work, you know, contact me by email. You know, we can try and set up some sort of Zoom meeting where you can share your screen. I can see what's going on. Okay, so at this point, everything should be set up appropriately, so that we can communicate between our computer and the NetBurner board. Okay, now something a little fun. The original application that was on the NetBurner board, we came installed. We never actually ran that because it required some knowledge of networking, and so I just skipped over that portion. But we can restore that program. Okay, that's in it's called Mod 5270 Factory Demo, and since we now have a program that's using that has enabled auto update on it. Let me go back to MB Eclipse, auto update. Okay, find my NetBurner. Okay, and then we're going to browse to your NetBurner installation directory, which for me was on my C drive, and then it's nburn, and then it's I think it was mod 5270 original. So nburn mod 5270 original, and then it's mod 5270 factory demo app.s19. Okay, so we'll update. Okay, says it updated, fine. We'll see it restarted. It shows some information here on this factory demo program. So it's running. I can hit a question mark at any time in the MTTY window to show the main menu. There's some other information here on show the ARP cache. The one thing that you'll see in here is actually the IP address and MAC address of the Ethernet card that is on your computer. I don't know what this other IP address is. We should be able to ping our computer as well, 192.168.17.1. Remember, we're giving commands on the NetBurner here, so it will be pinging our desktop computer. Now, your desktop computer may not be set up, configured to respond to pings. Mine is not. So this actually fails here. In this application, there is, it updates a particular file that keeps track of how long this particular application is running. So when I hit W, it shows that counter every time. Okay. Let's see, I don't know what C does for show counters. It shows a bunch of different stuff. Let me bring up the menu again. Ethernet registers. So all that information is available there. What's much more interesting, though, is that the application does a lot more than present this simple menu on MTTY. As a matter of fact, we could disconnect MTTY. What is actually running is there's a web server program running on the net burner. Okay, so to browse the web, you need a web client. I'm using the Chrome browser, and then you need a web server program running on the server that you're connecting to that communicates with the client. Okay, so there is a web server that in the demo program that was started that is running now on the net burner. So I bring up my web browser, http:// I type in the address 192.168.17.2 of the NetBurner board, and then I see this page. Now this page is being served up by the NetBurner board. Okay, so all the graphics, all the text, all the menu bar on the left-hand side, this complete page is being served up by the NetBurner board. And so as we work through over the next couple of weeks, we'll learn how to modify a web server application on the NetBurner to serve up different web pages. Okay, there's some interesting things here. You can play tic-tac-toe with the web burner. Looks like no one won that game, so we can play again. The other thing that was the tic-tac-toe example. There's some other stuff here that talks about how to update things dynamically. There's another interesting example besides tic-tac-toe. It's the LED example. Okay. Here, in this upper menu, actually, as I click on these little rectangles, you should see the corresponding LEDs on your board actually turn on and off as you click these little rectangles. So there's communicating between my web browser and actually the web server, and then the web server software running on the NetBurner is turning on and off the LEDs. And then also the status of the switches is shown here in the bottom. So let me flip one of the switches. Okay, I don't know if that was switch 1 or 8. Okay, and refresh. So I turned switch 8 on. Okay, and then so switch 1, which then should be at the other end of the set of switches. Let me flip it in the other direction. Now I have to refresh it so it actually knows to read the switches, and then it's switched off. Okay. So the final example I'll show here, it talks about an FTP example using an FTP client. So FTP is an older protocol. It's not very secure that you can use for transferring files. So it's usually not available on most computers these days. I will show you actually really quickly. I'm going to use WinSCP. Let's see, is it running here already somewhere? Yeah, there it is. Okay, and we're going to connect to a new site. Okay. And using the FTP protocol, and the host name is 192.168.17.2, and click login. You get a prompt for a username, just click OK. For a password, just click OK. And then now you're actually connected via FTP to the NetBurner board, and it's serving up, it's kind of a virtual file system. The only file it has there available is the seconds this application has been running. So I can actually transfer this across. I can download this to my other directory, and then I see it here. I can open it up, and it tells me the number of seconds that this thing has been running. It's 395. Okay. WinSCP actually, when I click on it, it transfers it over directly and then opens it up in my editor for me, and it says 405 seconds. So every time I do that now, I should see, you know, a different number. Okay. So, but you know, there's an FTP server running on the net burner as well. So I wanted to show you that, and I think that's all the examples. So let me close this out, and then and talks here about, you know, you can set up a run configuration so you can automatically download projects over the Ethernet link as opposed to, you know, starting auto update every time to make things a little bit easier. But I think that's it for the exercise. So let me stop this.